So the Ability Links Community Development Resource Package gives community organisations an idea about how to set up a community inclusion project, from getting ideas to then evaluating the project at the end, and then how you learn and adapt your initiative as you go along.
Ability Links have achieved a lot over the last 5 years, and so we really wanted to celebrate the successes of what they've done. So the other thing we wanted to do was really share the learnings that linkers have gathered over the last 5 years. They've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't when it comes to community development.
Engage people from a cold background. It's important to build rapport and trust. It takes time, and so being patient, I think as a linker, for example, it's being patient with them, being present, being flexible. And I guess the work that we do is important because it builds on the strengths of the community. And really, I guess, sitting down with people and hearing what they need, and then, having like a conversation with them, and then bringing that to places like councils and services, and raising that awareness, and even, I guess, the community work, it breaks down barriers, it reduces stigma. It's important to come up with even innovative ways for young people to have their voices heard as well.
It's a very common thing. If you just know if you know how to greet them in their own language, it can change a lot. And if you do a bit of research on how they are or what culture they come from, that means a lot for a person. It wins a person, to be honest. I think it's important because that's how you build a society and build people to come together to support each other. I think the aim of community work started to have that support and to individuals can rely on each other.
So I guess the aim of the project that we've been working on is to obviously give local businesses an increased understanding of how they can be inclusive and the importance of inclusion.
You can become an inclusive business for 50 cents if you like, and that could be as little as a notepad and a pen for people who can't speak to write their order down. The figures are out there that 1 in 5 people in the community have a disability. So if you're not recognising this and you're not catering for this, then you're missing out on a fair chunk of business. Don't bite off too much, set realistic goals, and with this project, try and make it sustainable. So when you leave, that business might continue, to update their menu in large print, update their menu in Braille.
We're bringing forward a disability inclusion and awareness training to a local public school. We've delivered it to the teachers and also to the parents, and we're going to be rolling it out to the entire school soon. Naturally, it would talk about what disability is, it would also talk about what difference is, it would talk about celebrating diversity. If you've got a great idea, just get out there and unpack it, explore what you could do with it, explore the possibilities.
Particularly for someone that is both queer and has a disability, because they have the lived experience of experiencing, double marginalisation, and you add on top of that race and religion, living in rural areas, being young, being older. It really highlights how we need to really take an intersectional approach to how we work with people and make sure we realise that they are quite complex. Rather than working for the person, we work with them. Write a project plan and acknowledge that you might need to change it, it might need to adapt, and it's important to reflect on what's worked and what hasn't.
We know that monitoring and evaluation can really help you achieve the outcomes that you want to achieve, but they can seem quite daunting and overwhelming at the start, especially if you've not done it before. So what we try to do in this toolkit is help you think about how you might approach monitoring and evaluation for a community development project, and we provide some guiding principles for that process. So the first one is building in data collection from the outset. It's no use going 3 years down the track and trying to fill in the gaps. The next one is thinking about doing the data collection to the scale of your project. So if you have a small size project, you don't want to collect a laundry list of data items. But if you have a large scale project, you might want to think about evaluation and getting in some external expertise. And really only collect what you're actually going to use and reflect on, because there's no point in collecting data and sort of taking people's time to complete surveys and interviews if you're not going to be able to use that data to inform the project.
We hope that this community development resource package will help guide your work towards sustaining inclusion in your local community.